paper chase. She say this her cut like a taper fade. I'm the bomb grenade,
Purchase
never
your tracks
perpetrate.
today.
This is After Hours Live for the Man Cave. This is your host, Tae Wiggs.
This is your co-host, Marc Sr.
Yeah, we back at new threads,
Gotta
step the game up a little bit.
Yeah.
First and foremost, Marc Sr., start off, man. Tell the people what they've been missing out on so far.
So the NBA is in full swing. We're getting closer to playoff time.
Yes.
So the competition is getting a little, more intense. Teams got to show up. Even though more teams get to go to the playoffs, it's still a fight to get in there. But part of getting in there is having some of the best players on your team. And this year, the MVP race, is heating up. A lot of people is just giving it to Nikola Jokic. But it's some media out there, some fans out there that don't believe he's the outright winner of it. One of which is a longtime media member in Cleveland, covered the Cavs, covered LeBron his whole career, Brian Windhorst. And I just so happened to be listening to his podcast. He had a guy from ESPN, a fellow colleague of his, Tim Bontemps. And they got in an argument, they got in a debate. Brian Windhorst believed that LeBron was well ahead before he got hurt. And the Tim Bontemps wasn't going for it. You can tell he's a guy sticking by his data and a fan of Nikola Jokic. But Brian Windhorst was, he kept saying he was ashamed of his brethren. And he believed LeBron James was the MVP. So who is your MVP right now, Tay?
I mean, right now, to be honest with you, I am a LeBron James fan. But LeBron James missed almost 15 games. So you got to take him out. Most valuable player means I'm available, always on time. When you get injured like that, you get knocked off. I had my guy at number 3. LeBron James at first was the number 1 pick for me to be the MVP.
Right.
But definitely, I'm going to go with I'm going to move Chris Paul from that third spot. I'm going to put CP number 1.
Okay.
I mean, we've been talking about this now all season,
right.
The stops that Chris Paul made. You said it too, Marcus. Look at the OKC Thunder at where they at now. Last year, there was a playoff team, right?
Right.
This year, they are the third worst team in their conference. 20 games up, 36 down. So you got Chris Paul right now, 40 games up, 16 down. It's called the effect. It's the Chris Paul effect. For me, Chris Paul has done nothing but good things for this team. This team on the road, 17-7. At home, astounding, 23-9. In their last 10 games, they 8-2. So I can see what Chris Paul is going to maybe because he might be a 6'1" point guard,
get his due.
He is some of my favorite commercials, State Farm, the return of Cliff Paul is back.
Right.
So when you see Cliff Paul is back, that means his sister's going up high. He's a pit bull. He is what you want in a teammate. Not only is a floor general, he's a coach. Chris Paul first, Jokic second. Sorry, bro, I got to knock you out. And third, and the most person that been the most critical, I'm gonna say third. I'm gonna be honest with you, Donovan Mitchell.
Okay.
He gets the MVP love because the Utah Jazz are 42 games up there. They got the best record in the NBA. And you're looking at this team and what Quinn Snyder has been doing for this team for the last couple of years, putting guys in a certain role. Rudy Gobert did play yesterday. Ersan Ilyasova. This guy is still playing. He's not a one-trick pony. He can hit the three. He can play defense. He can do it all. So those are my 3 guys right there. 1, Chris Paul, point guard. 2, Jokic. Number 3, Donovan Mitchell. I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah, I can feel that. So I didn't have Chris Paul in the list on our last couple of pods, but I'm thinking he deserved to be in it. Like the effect we talked about. He's just like LeBron. I think, as I said it before, he's like LeBron effect. You got LeBron on your team, you going to the chip. You got Chris Paul on your team. I don't care what your record was last year. You're going to the playoffs. It's like automatic. So I'm gonna put Chris Paul in there. I wouldn't have him at 1. I would think I think even though Joel Embiid missed a lot of games, his impact since he's been back has been, it's been crazy. Like they beat Brooklyn, they've been on a tear. Like, and he's been a major part of that. So I'm gonna say 1A, Jokic, 1B, Joel Embiid, and then Chris Paul, and then Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. I forgot about the big man up there, Joel Embiid. I mean, this is the reason I didn't put him up there. I'm taking him down because he's been playing like this for the last couple of seasons. And just for him to have a good coach on his side to understand, as you notice if you watch the Philadelphia 76ers, he don't shoot that many threes. He's more inside, attacking the paint.
Right.
And he's putting some big man in trouble. I mean, Joel Embiid got the 15-footer. He can hit free throws. Yes, he can hit the three. You know what's so crazy? He's an underrated passer too as well. He's a big man that can pass the ball too. And he got a nice little handle for his size. And with the next topic you got, Marcus, on the MVP side, what's the next one?
So as I just talked about Joel Embiid, is the Sixers better than the Brooklyn Nets? They've been battling at 1 and 2 right now. I think Philly number 1. Philly just beat Brooklyn. What was it? I can't remember. It was a day this week. Joel Embiid, put up a 30-piece on them. And they got the dub, even with, everybody was on the team except Jay Harden and LaMarcus Aldridge. And LaMarcus Aldridge's retirement, I think, is going to be underrated for the Brooklyn Nets. I think he plays a huge he was going to play a huge role in a playoff run. So it's two questions. Are the Philadelphia 76ers for real? And what do you think about, LaMarcus Aldridge retiring?
I mean, are the Sixers for real? Yeah, they're a real life team. I mean, the one thing I'm gonna say about the Sixers team, we still know what that Brooklyn Nets team look at their full capacity. Mm-hmm. I think they only played full together like 2 or 3 games out of the season. I'm not even gonna say that. I think 7 games. To be honest with you, the whole thing is we know the playoffs start up next month. I think the 76ers are more the defensive team than anything. We always say defense wins game. But does this 76ers team have enough firepower to go up against the Brooklyn Nets?
I don't know about at full capacity. I don't know about that. You said defense. I know Ben Simmons. He trying to get that defensive player of the year. He can't guard everybody.
No. And 2, for the Brooklyn Nets, who's going to be that guy who's going to take the back seat?
Somebody's going to have to.
Somebody going to have to sacrifice. We know KD get buckets. Mm-hmm. You got what? You got 2 scoring champions on your team between KD and James Harden?
All right, 2 scoring champions, 2 MVPs.
Right. And you got probably one of the best ball handlers in the NBA. I'm not going to say in NBA history because I still think AI is. They changed the rule because of AI, the way he was doing it. But when it comes down to this is going to come up against both teams. Matchups. And everybody just saying Brooklyn Nets may walk away and run away with the East. They may be, but we still forget about that team at that 3rd seed, the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay.
Giannis Antetokounmpo missed the last 6 games. And they had a terrible loss last night, but Mike's not talking about them. But I believe the Eastern Conference probably is going to be the Brooklyn Nets and Milwaukee Bucks. The reason I'm not picking the Philadelphia 76ers is because I think they're the same team, Marcus. I think they're the same team from last year. I think they still need one of them guys off the bench that give them straight firepower. I'm surprised that Doc Rivers didn't go after Lou Williams in the trade.
All right, Lou Williams, you got his son, Austin Rivers. Both former Clippers. Both I don't know. I can't remember what run that was, but they had a playoff run, and basically all the starters were hurt. Chris Paul was hurt. Blake Griffin was hurt, and Lou Williams and Austin Rivers kind of they gave him some playoff wins.
I think that was 2018. I think it was 2018.
Right, and that's what the Philadelphia 76ers was missing. They somebody to come off the bench that feel like they're a starter and give starter production. And they got a bunch of guys I don't know.
The guy off the bench is supposed to be Shake Milton. But
right.
he, like I said, his dad played in the NBA, but Shake Milton's just living up to his name. He's shaking things up. Some games he here, some games he not.
Right.
If they want to win, you got to get more from the bench guys in the playoffs. We know what Joel Embiid can do. We know what not Danny Green, but Ben Simmons can do. Yeah, I'm gonna say we know what we can go back to that. We know what Danny Green can do. He's almost it's almost like you turn on the hot water in the wintertime in Cleveland. When you turn on, it's still cold. You got to wait another like 2 minutes before it warm up. That's Danny Green. So with him, can that team rise to the occasion? If he's hitting,
yeah, absolutely.
That's going to be that could be a 7-game series, but realistically, I'm going to say the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. I think low key, I think the Milwaukee Bucks have a little bit more edge to the 76ers.
Right. So you're saying out of the offseason, that's the team that changed because but Philly and Milwaukee, for the past couple of years, they've been, the top of the East, and each year, they fall short. And a lot of people say because both teams bring back the same team every year. In this case, Milwaukee, I think they, with Justin Holiday, I think you're right. I think that does give them over the hump. It just depends on who they benched up with, what seed they fall in. If they don't see Brooklyn or Philly until the next round, not the opening round, I think that's a setup for success for them. As long as they see him, in the second round and up, they'll be all right. But if they see Philly or Brooklyn, if somehow they fall, into like that 4 or 5 range, and they see one of them teams early, that's gonna spell trouble.
I do want to piggyback to LaMarcus Aldridge, playing with a regular heartbeat for the last couple of seasons. He's not the only player in the NBA who has the regular heartbeat. I believe Jeff Green also has the irregular heartbeat too, because I think he had the open heart surgery.
Right.
Like LaMarcus Aldridge. The reason why KD got LaMarcus Aldridge on the phone, LaMarcus Aldridge recruited Kevin Durant to Texas when he was in Texas.
So I didn't know that.
So everybody said, the Nets trying to buy everybody. No. I think Kevin Durant was doing the due diligence of a favor. You know what? You recruited me to Texas. I'm going to recruit you here to Brooklyn. So before everybody said, this, that, third. But, is he, like the question is, he's a Hall of Famer. Of course his NBA buddy's going to say that. It's the numbers there, Marcus, as a Hall of Famer.
I don't think they are. I think he's short of a Hall of Fame ballot. What he did in Portland, those are his best number years. As a double guy, he was leading the team, he was making the playoffs. They never made it past the second round. I don't think he's ever made it past the second round in the playoffs. And then you got to think of some of the other bigs who are there but just short. In past years, you got people like Chris C-Webb. Who else that recently just made it as a big? But the numbers is they just short. He's a great player, but they just short. But C-Webb is making the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
So I don't want to misconstrue that. But what I'm saying is his numbers is significantly better than LaMarcus Aldridge, and it took him a few rounds to make the Hall of Fame. So it took him a few rounds to make the Hall of Fame, even with his Michigan on top of everything, what he did at Michigan for that 1 year on top of his NBA career. It still took him a few rounds to make the Hall of Fame. And LaMarcus Aldridge is kind of like I would say a drop off from
I'm going to say he's no too as well, because to make you a Hall of Famer, everybody talk about rings. No, it's no playoffs. What game you LaMarcus Aldridge took over? People don't realize LaMarcus Aldridge played with Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy was that guy in the playoffs that would take him over the hump with the game winners. When you need that crucial bucket from LaMarcus Aldridge, he never hits that bucket. That's what people are not talking about. Don't say he's a Hall of Famer because that's your peers that you played with him. Let's be honest. Hey, you think LaMarcus Aldridge is a Hall of Famer? I'm like, no, I think he's short. He's very short.
Yep. And like what you just said, Brandon Roy. But then when Brandon Roy left, they made the playoffs. Who got him over a hump? A young Dame.
A young Dame. Another point guard. So we need that back. You need that big bucket.
Right.
He don't get it. I'm just speaking facts. Some people are like, man, you crazy, but people up there in Portland know. In the Rose City, they know what's up. They gonna say, yeah, probably, but let's be honest, he's not a Hall of Famer. Moving right along, Marcus. I want to talk about the Boston Celtics. Everybody's on them hard. It seems like they found a little stride. I see my boy, Kimball Walker, living here in Charlotte. We watched him grow up through the ranks of the NBA. But to see him to go to Boston, last year he's still trying to figure out. This year he's still trying to figure out. I think the last three games for the Celtics, I think he found his stride where he wanted to do. He had a clutch bucket last night. And I think they figured something out with that lineup. I mean, because Jason Tatum was playing awesome.
Yep. Was it 44 last night? Needed every one of his buckets. Yeah, because of Steph. He needed every one of them 44.
The one thing, though, about that game last night in this Boston Celtics, I think what hurt them probably the most. I'll be honest, they don't have a center. They don't have a big man.
I mean, they got Tristan Thompson.
They're not using them right
now. Right.
Tristan is not the same Tristan.
Yeah, he's another player that's like playoff Tristan. It's a thing. He during the season, he like lukewarm. Playoffs come.
He turned up.
He play a little different. Yeah.
I mean, he's not starting. Like, put him in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I don't even know who they have starting over him.
It ain't. I don't think it's Grant Williams, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the young kid with the dreadlocks. I'm gonna give you his name right now. Because see, they cut Lou Cornett. I think it's Robert Williams III. I think that's their start.
Okay.
Center.
I think that's right.
They got Jabari Parker. I think in his debut, he had 11 points yesterday. Another guy who I thought was going to be one of those guys, but when you number one draft pick, I think the last 4 to 5 years, the draft picks, number one draft picks, they've been kind of injury prone. Or just not living to expectations. They're playing with that. But kudos to Jabari Parker for signing a 2-year deal with the Boston Celtics. If they use him right, because he's a post player, if they use him right in the post, he can definitely change the game. I'm gonna call him. Some people might sound crazy, but before the injury, I'm gonna call him the poor man's Carmelo Anthony. We got the post game.
Okay.
We got the mid range 15-footer. He don't have that explosiveness like Carmelo Anthony due to the knee surgeries, but for a person like a Jabari Parker, if he can give you a consistent 10 and 12 points a night, that's a difference. Because that means a Jason Tatum or a Jaylen Brown can get that extra blow that they need on the bench. All right, cool. We're gonna stick with Jabari. Now you find him Marcus Smart. He hit a clutch shot last night too, but at the same time he had to check Steph Curry out. Sometimes you gotta give or take. And with Steph, man, the one thing I don't like about Steph, every time he shoots that three, though, he started dancing. I noticed every time he started dancing, hit threes, most of his games come up with up in the L column. The dude's playing phenomenal basketball. He can be case for
9 straight 30-point games. That was a record.
He can make a case for the MVP because they had 28 wins and 29 losses. But I just feel like they had Klay Thompson, they'd be plus. I'm gonna say with Klay Thompson, they'd be plus 11 in the win column. That would put them right. If they had Klay Thompson and that put them at plus 11, that would put them right at 30. No, that put them at 40. That would put them at 42 games. They'd be in first place.
I'm gonna a long time, well, not a long time. Since the 2010s, A Warriors hater, proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
The way how Steph playing, if they had Clay, man, I gotta agree. That's a plus. That's plus 11. And they would be in first place. Draymond Green would be playing different. Like he playing just good enough right now. But if they had Clay, he would be playing at another level. Then you gotta think about the young guy Wiseman who got hurt. I don't think he would have got hurt if Clay
No.
was there. And they would be rolling like on all sorts. They got Andrew Wiggins playing
Oh
consistent
yeah.
basketball. It's like a miracle. So they would be the Warriors of old or very close to it.
Oh yeah. As we talking about now, everything heating up. This the bread and the butter now to heat up to them playoffs. So you got the Los Angeles Lakers. They holding their own since LeBron and AD.
Schroeder and Trez holding it down.
Montrez, when you looking at that Lakers team, since Bron been hurt and AD been hurt, and people are like, how do the Lakers lose all their games? You know, a lot of their games they lose, they have like 17 plus turnovers in crucial situations. They get like 4 or 5 turnovers back to back.
Right.
But Marc Gasol just got hurt with the pinky injury. I'm still trying to figure out why they're not using the Giannis Antetokounmpo little brother, because he come and give you some glimpses of flash what he can do, a defender.
He got energy. He
He got energy.
He got that Antetokounmpo blood in him.
GHT, Tyler Horton Tucker. Dude's a little problem for real.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna be as consistently good. I thought he was gonna flame out, but he a little bit. He's sneakily explosive. You know, he can get a bucket.
Yeah, he's very long and athletic.
Yeah.
But the person that I'm gonna say would be hurting the Lakers the most since the injuries of their 2 stars of AD and Brown, I'm gonna say KCP, because he's an up and down player. One game he be on, one game I only say off, he be like totally off. I'm talking about some games he be like 0-5, like dog, you played 34 minutes, you 0-5. Hold up, man. I mean, there's certain things that certain players need to step up. Like Kyle Kuzma went to big money, but he has to step up. Last couple of games he's been playing big, but you can't pick and choose when you're going to step up. You got to play hard every night. But the person who's been rolling for them low-key under the radar for Los Angeles Lakers that I've been looking at is the Morris twins. I've been like what he been doing, coming through, hitting clutch threes, everything.
He stayed ready.
Stay ready. And you can't get mad at something that's Markieff Morris. And I think he been playing up, playing really good. Another person I thought been stepping up for them too since they got the trade. I'm gonna say Ben McLemore since they off waivers. He had a nice game. Andre Drummond.
He
played. That's his best game that he had so far in the Lakers uniform
against the Jazz, right?
But the scary thing is, do you know how easy the game going to be for LeBron? Because we know,
too easy.
Just look at the way Andre Drummond playing now. Let's be honest, he was half-assed in some of those games. He's hot dogging it, Marcus. So once Bron come back, it ain't gonna happen.
He's 27-12, and I don't even feel like that's it. Like you said, that was his best game as a Laker. I don't even feel like he played his hardest in that game. That's an easy 27-12.
Man, so now he got to play hard. You got to go grab rebounds. Him and AD, there should be no reason why AD should be averaging double-double. This guy's averaging like 25 and 8.
In the Lakers, we speak about Philadelphia as being a defensive. The Lakers, for a long stretch of the season, I don't know if they still is, I have to check, but they is the number 1 defensive team. So you add Andre Drummond, defense rebounds is part of defense. You get offensive rebounds. That's defense. He's gonna clean that up. You get AD back. He gonna their big man game is strong. 3 through 5. Is no one in the West or East that can compete with that if they playing, at a high level. Right.
That's scary. Because Brian himself, he's a career guy. What, 27, 25, 7 and 7, something like that. Right. So LeBron James getting 7 rebounds a game. AD gonna get 8. You got Drummond getting 12. So there's gonna be no rebounds left for the opposing team. They're gonna be classing the glass a lot. We talk about second chance shots now.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing too with Andre Drummond, he got to know when he get that ball, he cannot bring it back down. He got to keep it up and put it in the basket.
Right.
Once he do that, man, this team right here it's a scary team. But the team I feel for right now, I'm switching topics. We know what the Lakers are going to do. We know Bron will be back soon. AD can actually be back within the next couple of days. Now the team that's probably going to suffer the most with this injury is going to be Jamal Murray, Marcus. He got hurt in the closing seconds against the Golden State Warriors.
Right.
With a torn ACL.
ACL tears. Wait, before you go, I wanted to. This is something that struck me. I feel like when we was growing up, we rarely heard about a player injuring his ACL.
Right.
And I swear, since Derrick Rose towards ACL, I mean, every player it's like an ACL tear every year to a superstar too. I don't know what's going on, why ACLs are a thing now, but ACLs and Achilles.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Marcus. That's in both sports, football and basketball. I'm gonna be honest with you. The first time I heard somebody turn an ACL was Quincy McCall on Love and Basketball.
Right. Oh, you took it back.
Right. Then you think about it. His dad was like, son, don't go to the draft. You're not ready yet. Your body, he kept saying, your body is not physically mature yet.
Right.
If you look at most of the guys back in the day, back when Jordan played, you might have like one guy in the league had a torn ACL or MCL. Now they got the MCL, the TLC, whatever you want to call it. I mean, let's be honest. Can you say these guys are not weight room warriors? Can you say they don't lift a lot of weights with their legs? You know, you playing basketball with your legs?
Something is going on. It's either that or like the Chicago guys, Jabari, Derrick Rose. They play a lot of games, on that outside. And that is, as we go to learn, that's not good for your knees at all. It's either one or other. It's like too many games too soon, because you also got the AAU, like they've been playing like 100 games a year since they were like 15. Body's just wearing and tearing easily, on top of them not, doing weight training with the lower body. All that, man, it's
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that because, I'm gonna take this guy for instance, Hall of Famer, soon to be Hall of Famer next month, Tim Duncan.
Okay.
He swam in the off season. They build up muscle because swimming builds up every muscle.
Yeah,
I
full
think
body workout.
Yeah, he get a full body workout, and I think a lot of guys should take a heed to that if you can swim, because like you said, Marcus, when you see guys working out, they never is always shooting jumpers. Like you don't ever see a guy, hey, straight legs. I'm gonna go around, do a nice little jog. They always shooting. I mean, yeah, you gotta use
except LeBron. He's an exception.
It's a couple of other guys that do leg workouts. I see like people like Dwight Howard, Kawhi Leonard. Now Derrick Rose is doing more leg workouts. But like you said, Marcus, a lot of these guys, like you said, been playing basketball from the time from elementary through middle school through AAU ranks. Then high school, they play AAU basketball in high school too. Mm-hmm. Then if you're really good, guess what? You're gonna travel in the summertime. Your junior, your sophomore, junior, and senior season on the road playing basketball, which can lead up to another 30 to 40 something games. And your off season from high school playing basketball. Now if you go to college, guess what you're doing in college? Or you leaving early so you get back into the stride. Now you got to learn the college system. Their legs is not getting that real proper rest that the body deserves. Like everybody knows that the body deserves 8 hours of rest. Are these guys really getting 8 hours of rest?
I mean, not consistently during the seasons. No, I highly doubt it. Because everybody also want to get the edge. You know what I'm saying? They want to be the first person in the gym, the last person to leave. I think all that is commendable. But like you say, at some point, you got to shut it down. Even, right now with the Lakers, AD and LeBron, because of the season, how it was last year, they didn't start playing till July. I think those guys are truly hurt, but I think the Lakers are giving them extra time so they can get that rest you just talking about.
You see what I was about to say. Do you believe LeBron James really had a high ankle sprain? Do you believe that LeBron was like, all right, man. The Miami Heat, just look at the Miami Heat and the Lakers. We're gonna say they played the longest so far. Because after they won a championship, they had to get ready back a month and a half or 2 months and a half. So everybody didn't get that real 4 to 5 month that 4 month rest they normally get. So you looking like, hey, we gotta go back into playing basketball. LeBron James hurt himself. He screamed really loud. He played it off. Like I said, I never seen LeBron James get hurt. Now he's walking around with no boot on. He's out of the boot earlier than expected.
Right.
Do you believe LeBron James? Like, you know what? I'm about it. They say he's supposed to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. Do you believe he was really injured? Or do you believe he just bought time? You know what? We're gonna rest up. I feel like my team in good hands. I think my team has enough to go with it, does what it takes. He's seen the Lakers schedule in that middle. Like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get injured right here. This is a soft part of our schedule going in.
I think it's like 50-50. I think he was going for the MVP. I think he really was.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he knew if he got hurt at any significance at all, he know his body. He knew like, hey, I probably need to shut it down if I'm going to try to get another ring, which is more important to him than another MVP. Mm-hmm. So as soon as he may have tweaked it, it may have something to keep him out, typically a game or two, and now he's just using it to get the extra rest in. He's going to be fully healthy coming back. And they'll probably time it so, like you said, AD come back, and then 1-2 games, LeBron's back, and then they're going to do it just in time to catch a rhythm.
Now, with all this stuff going around the NBA, and let's be honest, the team that snuck back up in the playoff contention, the Memphis Grizzlies, they had a nice win last night over the Milwaukee Bucks. Mm-hmm. You looking at them, they right there. Another team that snuck their way back in, the Golden State Warriors. Mm-hmm. Now I'm looking at this East as well. Toronto at the beginning of the season, Marcus Davis at number 5. Do you know these guys all the way down to 12? Yeah, so I'm looking at teams jockeying for space, and the team that sticks out to me that nobody's really talking about is that other team that play in New York, the New York Knicks.
The Knickerbockers.
They in 6th place, 30 wins, 27 losses.
So you got to speak to that. So they in 6th place. With this year, the playoffs is different. 7, 8, 9, and 10 all get to fight for playoffs. 6, you say. So not only are they making the playoffs, they are safe. They don't even have to do the play in. So that's like a night and day change.
Do you consider them? Let me say this. If I had to give out an award for most improved player, it would probably be Julius Randle. Okay. By far. When I look at this New York Knicks team, RJ Barrett's playing a little bit better. Julius Randle, he can actually make a case for MVP. It's the Knicks. He's playing at an all-time high level. Mm-hmm. He just hit like 6 threes the other night with 42 points. And it's so weird that nobody's not talking about the New York Knicks like that.
He's almost averaging a triple-double for real.
Right. And this is supposed to be Stephen A. Smith's team. He barely talk about the Knicks because everything been so far. Philly, Boston.
I don't think he want to jinx them.
Right. New York and the Utah Jazz. When I look back, I said the New York Knicks. Now, Marcus, the team I'm going to say Thibodeau got a good case for coach of the year. Probably him and, like I said, the coach for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah. Monty
Williams. And nobody's not talking about Monty Williams. He's over there. They just doing their thing in Phoenix, right, in that desert. Charles Barkley talked all that trash. No, they just need to go to the other team and blah, blah, blah. Chris Paul came over and said, "Nah, we're gonna do this."
Changed the whole thing around.
He changed the. Hey, Chris Paul is what you call. If Chris Paul, if you listen to this, man, you are a culture changer.
Change agent.
Right, like That's crazy. I'm gonna be honest. Chris Paul, we retired. We talk about Hall of Fame. That's first ballot.
Should be signed, sealed, delivered. As soon as he hang it up, like whatever the next eligibility date, just send his name in. don't need to talk about it.
Like New York Knicks, they were 6-4 in they walked down a 5-game winning streak. So this Knicks team, I like how they play. They are the number. I think they're the number 3 defensive team in the league, first and foremost.
Right.
So they're long, they athletic. They get especially having Derrick, pre-injury Derrick Rose is a monster. Don't get it twisted.
Mm-hmm.
This Derrick Rose right here is savvy. He's more tenacious. He takes his time. He's out there coaching cats on the floor where they're supposed to be at, and he's hitting big buckets too for the New York Knicks. That's why the Knicks are in the predicament they're in, because he played for Thibodeau. They had it all right. Thibodeau changed the culture, but you had to get somebody else out there that speak the Thibodeau language. Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose, and they got was it Taj Gibson?
Taj Gibson, another one who he's been playing hard for them off the bench.
Yep, very
hard, and it's just a trickle. It's a trickle down effect. What I've been seeing from them, and the Washington.
You gotta also think they got Moxie too. They rookie. He's
I told you about him.
I thought he was the rookie of the year.
I told you about Quickly. I said, look, man.
Quickly. That's right. I said,
look, man.
You're right.
I said, I like this dude. I said, look, Mark. I said, be on the word for him, man. No, Tyrese Maxey played for Philadelphia. That's
right.
The other Kentucky
I got him
guy.
switched. Yeah, I got him switched up. Yeah.
I say, Marcus, man, watch out for my boy Quickly, man. I said, look, he get buckets, man. Emmanuel Quickly. I said, look. I said, Marcus. I think he's picking like rookie of the year. I said, look. I said, these are the top 3 guys to watch. I said, I'm not at that time saying Anthony Edwards is finding himself, but he's in that type of race now. I said, my guys, I didn't believe in James Wiseman. I didn't believe in him. I said, my guys was LaMelo Ball, Emmanuel Quickly, and I told you about Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, yeah, that's another.
For the Sacramento Kings.
Mm-hmm.
I think what the Knicks need to do, I think we need to see a little bit more of Obi Toppin. I think he had one of his best games he had so far in the Knicks jersey. I think he had like 15 points, like 8 rebounds. If you get that from him more on a consistent basis, I think he'd be legit, because they keep comparing him to Amari Stoudemire. I haven't seen no Amari Stoudemire glimpses from him yet. So you can't compare somebody.
Nowhere near that.
Nowhere close to that.
Right.
The first year in the league, we know Amari Stoudemire, the first year in his league, he was rookie of the year.
Right.
So I think too now, since what's name getting injured too? What's his name? What's the center name? For the Mitchell Robinson for the Knicks. Mm-hmm. Since he got injured, he's been out. He's going to be out for the season. Nolan Noel has actually picked up the pieces as well. But if the Knicks want to make some noise, I need to see more consistency from Reggie Bullock as well. And I think RJ Barrett did pick it up a little bit more. And you got you something. I know what Derrick Rose can do. Elfrid Payton is a hit or miss. He's a hit miss.
Hit miss.
Moving right along with the NBA, we're going to talk about the Clippers before we wrap the NBA up. Los Angeles Clippers. Marcus, everybody keeps saying this team can make it around for the NBA Finals. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Does this team has enough firepower besides Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to make that push?
It's kind of hard to say because from watching the season, Paul George he's playing much better than he did last year. So him alone could be enough, but they don't have that bench no more. No Montrezl Harrell, no Lou Williams.
It's tough.
And I think that was like kind of like a secret sauce for the past couple years.
Lou Williams.
But then you got Ty Lue, who he's underrated as a coach because he can pull some stuff. He can maneuver some stuff to get guys to play better. And I think that goes under the radar. So I say it's still the jury's still out. I want to say yes, but we've seen this before from Clipper teams, so I don't know.
I know they got like you said, he's got the Rondo signing. We know what Rondo could do for you, and Rondo we trust. But so far, for the disappointment for the Los Angeles Clippers this year, been let's be honest. You signed Luke Kennard all that money. Ain't been there. Serge Ibaka, and out the lineup with an injury. The reason I know, I got him from fantasy basketball. He's been killing me. Because we know with him in the lineup, that's a double guy. He's been out now for almost, we haven't played a game since March 16th or something like that. So he's been out for a whole month with a back injury. How serious is this back injury? Like, how serious is it?
Whenever you talk about back, can't take it lightly.
Right. I know Nicholas Batum, he's been stepping up a lot. Patrick Beverly been talking more trash, ain't been doing nothing but getting scorched on the offensive end. But the guy who really been stepping up for the Los Angeles Clippers has been Terrence Mann, the rookie. Might say not a rookie, but the first year man out of Florida State. I had the pleasure of watching him pre COVID-19, the ACC tournament. I like his game, his upside, because he's more of a defensive player to me. I know he can get a bucket. Anybody's over 6'5", 6'6" can get a bucket. He's more of a defensive guy. He understands where he should be on the floor. But like I said, the thing is hurting him is Serge Ibaka with the injury, Luke Kennard not showing up, and two, let's be honest, they made this Rajon Rondo signing because you don't know what you're gonna get from Reggie Jackson.
Missing in action, Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson is missing in action. Like, you don't know what you're gonna get from him. He's Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So that's the whole thing you trying to figure out. What this team? If you like, the whole thing with Reggie Jackson is, we see what he can do in OKC. We know he didn't leave with the potential when he's in Detroit. But for a person like Reggie Jackson, I just need a solid 15 points from that. 15 points, about 5 dimes. That's enough to get to where they should be. But
since he got the specs, he's been playing a little better.
We're gonna see how long that's gonna last.
Right.
We're gonna see how long Paul George is gonna last. I think Dwayne Wade said this past week, last week, I'm gonna say, he said, we all heard the thing about you. I talk to you all the time that everybody keep calling you playoff Pete because you don't show up. What's different about this year? He said he feel better with the arms, the shoulders, and whatnot. But Marcus, yeah, you feel good now. Wait till you get to some playoffs.
Playoffs.
Is playoff Pete gonna show up? You said it before, Marcus. Paul George had that real playoff century game since he left Indiana when he played against the Miami Heat. Mm-hmm. He ain't been the same since he dunked on Birdman.
Yep, that's like his long highlight. Notice they still show that like to this day. When they talk about Paul George, they show that.
and that was so crazy, Marcus. That was so crazy. The only thing Paul George had his signature. Yes, he did. That dunk came out when he had his first signature shoe with the PG ones. So I'm looking at Paul George. I'm looking like, that's crazy, because Paul George got traded for Kawhi Leonard on draft night. They're on the same team. So
that is crazy.
When you're looking at that, no, I'll take that back. I said that wrong. Paul George is there first, and a year later, they lined up with Kawhi Leonard in the draft.
So they traded a pick that became Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I think Kawhi Leonard got drafted. I'm gonna say 14th or 15th that year. So you're looking at that. So just imagine they had those two back then. You don't know what you got for Kawhi Leonard. The Spurs won that deal because out of that trade, you got a Finals MVP in a championship ring out of Kawhi Leonard. And I think it's what, third or fourth. I think it's fourth year at that time. So the whole thing is, let's be honest, can Kawhi Leonard stay healthy too? Because he's been kind of in and out the lineup as well. So
he's somebody I think like he got it figured out. Like similar to LeBron James, he got it figured out. So in the season, he know just how how to pace himself unless something freak happen. Like that Warriors series where he rolled his ankle, pretty bad. I think he got to figure out when the playoffs come, he'll be healthy enough to last 4 rounds if they even get 4 rounds.
I can believe that. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Let's we're gonna talk about one more basketball team. Let's talk about the Washington Wizards and their leader in scoring in the NBA, Bradley Beal. That team right now won 4 straight out of their last 10. They're basically tied for the 10th place. They sit in 11th place. Now they tied with Chicago.
Right.
We know it's. I want to say. I think it's like 16 or 15 games left, Marcus. Mm-hmm. Does this Wizard team have enough to sneak into the playoffs?
Man, if you'd asked me 3 days ago, I would have said no. But Russell Westbrook has been consistently playing like OKC Westbrook to the point where I think if they make the playoffs, the play-in tournament is going to be a situation. It's going to be a situation. It's going to be a situation.
Just say, for instance,
Russ is playing. He's playing hard now.
The playoff playing game look like this right now, Marcus, as today. Just to say, hypothetically, the Bulls drop down, but they're going to be without Zach LaVine probably because of the COVID protocols. If just say Washington sneak up in there and get that 11th spot, the playoff games will go as Miami, going to be a problem for somebody, the Charlotte Hornets, the Pacers, and the Wizards. Now, the playoff team, the team I don't think nobody want to play in that, to be honest with you, are the defending Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat. Right. Nobody's not talking about them, but they lost their last 3 games in a row. I think that's another team, too, fight with identity as well, because you don't know what you're going to get from them. I think the biggest part about the Miami Heat is Gordon Dragic is getting injured again. I think it may be time to part ways with him and go all in on Kendrick Nunn. But nobody want to face on Washington Wizards. If you got Bradley Beal going for 30, and you got Russell playing like OKC
triple dub, bro.
Triple doubles with no lettuce. Come on, man. They ain't letting up, man. They ain't letting up. They not letting up.
I think I'm starting it. Well, I don't know about the whole team, but I think Russell Westbrook definitely saw the new playoff scheme. Like all we gotta do is be in 10th place. I'm gonna take my time, and we gonna play good enough to make the 10th seed, and then from there, it's just like the NCAA tournament now. Like as long as you in the tournament, you got a chance.
Right. And 2, Marcus, on top of that, he's back with Scott Brooks. I watched their last couple of games, Marcus. He's actually hitting that 15-footer again from the free throw line. I'm looking at
he's like OKC Russ.
I'm like, okay, Russ is back, y'all. It might be a problem. Hey, he dunking on cats, giving him the ugly face. One thing about Russell Westbrook, he's a Hall of Famer now. He's a Hall of Famer to me. Right. Just because what he do, man. That dude plays. Somebody says I'm gonna go 110%. Oh man, Russell Westbrook to me play 200%.
Right. This is about to be his second season as a triple double. Like just that alone, like since Oscar Robertson is Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson, the average triple double. I think that on top of everything else is just like you said, he's a sure Hall of Famer. And if they make a run with the Wizards, he further solidifying it.
All right. I'm gonna switch this topic now from basketball to baseball. We know basketball is our bread and butter. Mm-hmm. Baseball. We know what's his name? Hank Aaron passed away, right?
Yep.
Probably about a couple of weeks ago. And the All-Star game was supposed to be in Atlanta, his hometown. He played for the Atlanta Braves too as well. Mm-hmm. A couple of players voted it out that they should have an All-Star game in Atlanta. I said, come on. We just seen one city get robbed for the All-Star game in the NBA, which is the Indiana Pacers. They were supposed to be this year's host for the All-Star game. So we know the All-Star game is up next in Cleveland. So now they moved I believe they moved the All-Star game from Atlanta. I forgot where it's somewhere in the West Coast. I think it's Denver or something like that, whatever. But you moved that All-Star game, and Hank Aaron just passed away. I thought it'd been cool that okay, Hank Aaron passed away. Rest in peace, his soul. My condolences go out to his family.
Right.
That'd have been another way to honor him in his hometown, the team that he played for. Like they could have had
Perfect.
something like, you know what? So the baseball players using their numbers in the back of their jersey, they could put Hank Aaron number on the back of their jersey, showing that type of salute. And I just feel like it was a slap in the face to the family because with the COVID stuff going on, I thought that'd have been a cool way too. But not only did I hurt the family, let's think about the small business people, that small business owners in a city like Atlanta. That's how they make their living. To take that All-Star thing away, I think it might have something to do with the NBA All-Star game. People top cars coming up missing all that stuff. That might be another way, but I just can't believe they voted out. How do you feel about that situation, Marcus?
Since the players voted it out, I don't. That's one thing. Because if they felt it was more appropriate to have it another time, cool. But they just take it away from the Atlanta period. That where Hank Aaron's passing, that, like you said, that's a missed opportunity. Like, even though they voted it out, hey, but you can still reschedule it to have it back in Atlanta, to do something special for Hank Aaron. And I think, like I said, it's a missed opportunity. If it was like the owners who voted it out, I think that would be more of an outrage, because they have time, they know the significance. The players are thinking about themselves, but it's definitely a missed opportunity to honor, a legend, the home run champ. He's, even though his record's broke, I still consider him the home run champ, just because of the whole steroids era. We know Hank Aaron did it, all natural.
So everybody know, if you don't know, the commissioner of MLB is Rob Manfred. So I think one of the main players that was up against the vote in the moving the All-Star game was a brother.
Okay.
Jason, I think his name is Jason Hayward, if I'm not mistaken.
One of the few just African American baseball players. A lot of baseball players of color, but it's not a lot of just black baseball players. They're very rare in the sport.
Right. And I feel like by him being an African American, I thought he would understand, like, yo, let's keep the All-Star game here, but you voted out. Hank Aaron and other guys before you is the reason why you can lace them up and get dirty on the field.
Right.
I feel like if I had that's the right name, Jason Hayward, I feel like you just bleeped on the whole Hank Aaron situation.
I mean, and then to take it from, like, NBA, LeBron, the players, they didn't want to play in the All-Star game, but they still had it. Chris Paul, he's a president. He still felt like they should have had it, to honor NBC, historically black colleges.
Right.
And that kind of ties in with this whole Hank Aaron thing, because, like you said, he's one of the first African American, baseball players that had that statue, home run king from Atlanta. It's like, it's fitting, all that fits. Atlanta, for Black History Month, all that stuff, with Martin Luther King, is all kind of ties back to Atlanta. Perfect time to honor Hank Aaron.
Yeah. And it was Jason Hayward. He's the Cubs outfielder. So when I seen that, I was like, come on, man. Like, he should have been one of the guys. He's one of the few black guys, like you said, or African American males that play MLB in MLB. I feel like he should have been one of the guys that say, you know what? Hey guys, let's get together. Let's do this for Hank. Let's send him off the right way. Let's get this game going. Let's play for him. Didn't do it. So there, right there, as Charlamagne the guy would say, man, you get donkey of the day. We know NBA views are down. And I'm gonna get into this NBA, the WNBA, Marcus. I'm gonna be honest with you. I watch the WNBA. I watch all sports. So I sit down and watch the WNBA, and I feel like the women should get paid more. I disagree with Draymond Green said about how they complain. He said, I don't remember the quote for quote. He just said they complain too much. He just told them to just play basketball. Like, y'all gonna get your money when y'all get your money in due time. You saying that because you have a shoe contract. Your owner's a billionaire. Third, your contract is you pretty much can pay with Draymond Green contract. He can play probably about the whole WNBA league or the whole team roster.
Right.
You got guys in the NBA who's not even good enough to touch the floor, Marcus, is making $10 million.
More money than the best WNBA player.
And you got these women out here for them to make extra money, Marcus, which is crazy. I look at the Candace Parkers.
They got to do a lot of stuff.
They got to go on TV. Mm-hmm. To pick up some extra money. They got to go, like you said, Mark, they got to go overseas. And the reason I brought this topic up, because I just feel like if you add more teams, if you add about more teams to the WNBA and to not add WNBA teams to cities that don't have like professional teams.
Yeah, that's like college teams. We talked about this before. NCAA women's gets far more viewership than the WNBA.
Yeah,
because a lot of the teams is in places that don't have full team. Connecticut, one of the best women programs out there, they don't have a professional team, so
they do. I think they got the Connecticut Sun.
They do.
Yeah.
No.
I think they got the Connecticut Sun out there. If not, they probably moved that team because every 5 years a WNBA team.
So let me validate that. But they don't have a professional NBA team.
Right.
That's okay. So I'm gonna switch around. That's like a perfect fit for what you're saying. If they don't have a professional NBA team, they got a college team. It's probably a good fit to put a women's professional team there.
Right.
Tennessee is another good program. There is no professional NBA team, but you can have a professional women's team there.
Like,
could kind of get that fan base, that the Vols fan base, to pitch in and not pitch in, but to kind of grab them in to watch some of the WNBA.
Right, and I was looking too, like if they add 4 more teams to the WNBA, because right now I believe it's 12 teams. And if you add 4 more teams, I would put a team in places like Oklahoma. You got a men's team there. You can put a team in, I'm gonna say Alabama.
And
Alabama has no professional team. They diehards down there. They literally diehard. Like Marcus, when I went to Alabama with my wife on her family reunion, everything in Tuscaloosa, they have a Roll Tide gas station, a Roll Tide grocery store, a Roll Tide barber shop. They own Roll Tide restaurant. So just imagine if you get them a professional team, because everybody in Alabama is Roll Tide. It's Roll Tide or die. Yeah, there's Auburn fans down there, but I ain't never seen nothing like that. Everywhere you go, it's that crimson and cream. Everywhere you go,
it's the same way in a place I lived for a long time, Columbus. Mm-hmm. When college football start, it's crimson and cream everywhere, everywhere. Like even at work, they let you wear Ohio State stuff. Is
scarlet and gray.
Is go Buckeyes. I said crimson and cream, scarlet and gray. Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking at places they could put teams at. Alabama's a good choice, Marcus. Man, you know how much money they make in Alabama off those people? Alabama. I love the one you said, a WNBA basketball team in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But if you look what the NBA doing right now with the Toronto Raptors, how they got them playing in Tampa, right?
All right.
So they got fans. A lot of people show up to those games. So, do you believe that the NBA might be playing around and see how? Let's see what fans be like in Tampa. We know we got fans in Orlando and Miami. That's probably the northern part of Florida. I thought if they were smart enough, they could have put the Toronto Raptors in Seattle just to play around. Let's put them back in Seattle, see what
Yeah,
happens.
that was the move, I think, to Seattle. I mean, it's very close to another former NBA team, Vancouver. You know, so it used to be a team in Vancouver. You know, the Memphis Grizzlies used to be Vancouver Grizzlies, and then you also had Seattle Supersonics. Those were prime areas, and I think they can also be prime areas for the WNBA as well. I don't know if Seattle has a WNBA team.
They
I
do
don't
the
believe
Seattle
it.
the Seattle Storm. They just won the WNBA championship last year.
Championship. All right, that goes to show you I don't watch that much WNBA. I'm one of those people.
No, it's all good.
And Tampa is because they just won a Super Bowl for football.
Right.
So they like sports down there. And because so to take it back, so I like when the WNBA first started, I actually did watch a lot of WNBA. Why? Because the Cleveland Cavaliers had the Cleveland Rockers, and they were actually very good. So I watched a lot of WNBA because we had a team, and I think putting it in places, like we're speaking of, will have other people, boys and girls, watching more WNBA because there's a team to represent their city.
Right. And I live in a city that used to have a WNBA team. Charlotte Steen, Adrian Stinson, and Dawn Staley. That team is no longer. The Houston Comets. That team has more WNBA championships than anybody. That team is no longer. You got rid of the Sacramento Monarchs, Tina Pinachero. That team is no longer. Bolton Holyfield played for them. There's a couple of teams that's no longer. The Utah Stars. They're not here no more. I just feel like I see everybody want to invest into baseball teams, soccer clubs. We talk about some of the NBA guys. I'm about to put the heat on some of the NBA guys. Why some of y'all put y'all on like Dwayne Wade became ownership of the Utah Jazz?
Never played for Utah. Probably
Never played for Utah.
never been there for more than his NBA stay while he's playing them.
Right. And Marcus, why not? Y'all got money. You talk about y'all support the WNBA. Why don't y'all start another? Y'all got enough money. Hey, let's bring in 4 more teams. I can be the chairman for this team.
Right.
Nobody start talking about that.
Or you can just outright own a team.
Oh, yes.
Own the WNBA team.
Exactly. You know what? I think if an NBA superstar would have did that, about NBA team, I think they would get more views. Like they got the players. Don't get it twisted. Right. The whole thing, like people, let's be honest, WNBA, their season started around Memorial Weekend. I think this year they play Marcus. They start May 14th. So these guys are starting literally 4 days before the NBA playoffs. Now, and my Stephen A. Smith voice, how in the hell are they supposed to compete with that?
not in the early part of the season, no. Definitely not. I mean, it's similar. I mean, if you think about the NBA, they start like shortly after, this year. Yeah, that's not a good example because this year was different. Like they started very close to, the NFL. You had to compete with the NFL, and then once the NFL playoffs start, a lot of those viewers who be watching NBA just leave. Like they stop watching it to watch the NFL playoffs.
Right, and it's crazy because, like I said, the WNBA season started May 14th. The NBA playoff play-in start on the 18th, right? Now we talking about that's May. When the playoffs start, people to more baseball. So they compete with baseball. The NBA compete with baseball, right?
NBA.
The NBA playoffs, NASCAR, golf, tennis. Even though the viewers
depending on the year, Olympics.
The Olympics. It's the year for the Olympics. So you're looking at where when their season really started getting the height of their season, Marcus, we talk about the midway, we talk about the midsummer class of baseball. baseball All-Star game up there after baseball break. What happened? Teams started jockeying for playoff space. Then, too, what I don't like about how they do the WNBA schedule, only one game come on a week on national TV. Disrespectful. It's disrespectful. The women play just the hardest the guys, if not better. Because the one thing I like about the WNBA, all the women, I don't call them girls, that these are grown professional women. All these women on these teams play.
Play hard too. I mean, another perspective is, we talk about adding teams. There's some people out there advocating to cut down teams to put more talent, on fewer teams.
No, add more teams. If you got a lot of talent, just think about the average woman that didn't say I just watched the WNBA draft. The women that don't get drafted, Marcus, they don't have a WNBA G League team. Where they go? They go straight overseas.
Where they probably gonna get paid more than some of the people who made the WNBA.
Exactly. So, like I said, you add about 4 or 5 more teams, Marcus. Guess what? The playing field will be even. You won't see the same. You won't see the same teams in the playoffs. You won't see the Sparks, the Fever, the Storm. These are the same teams that I've been seeing. The Las Vegas Aces. These are some of the same teams I've been seeing in the playoffs for the last 3 or 4 years. You're not getting a mix up. And like last year, I think the worst team last year, the WNBA, was the Dallas Wings. I think they won like 4 games, like out of 25.
I mean, I'm just putting out ideas here. Or they can have it. Well, soccer is not quite like that, but the soccer here in the States, the
it's picking
MLS
up,
is picking up. They started off very similar to the WNBA. Not a lot of people watch them. Mainly, when you watch soccer, you watch, the Euro leagues. Like I said, women's basketball is very similar. They go overseas to get paid more, where there's more viewership for women basketball overseas. I think what MLS is doing is like a good framework for the WNBA. You start off in small cities. Like it's a MLS team in Columbus, Ohio. They don't have no other professional team. But when they won a championship, everybody that could go went to that game, and then every year they got more and more people to support the crew. That's the name. So I think what we're saying is a way to do it. You get it in small cities where the fan base can grow the league.
Marcus, now, Liz, do you think the WNBA get marketed? They don't get marketed right. Their marketing is horrible.
I rarely see commercials for them.
Marcus, they got talent. They got household names on their teams. Like, you got a Candace Parker.
Like, I don't see her in
Griner.
You got nowhere near enough commercials. Or Sue Bird.
I can name Angel McCartney. I can keep going and going on. Asia. I can keep going on and on about these women that play on these teams. Like, the exposure they get is nowhere close to the NBA. You don't see WNBA players with a Gatorade commercial like a Serena Williams. She plays tennis. Like, you don't see them out there. Like, you don't see too many WNBA players out there with their own signature shoe like a Cheryl Swoops had and Cynthia Cooper had back in the day. You don't see that.
Nope. I mean, and some of the players you named definitely deserve a signature shoe.
Candace Parker had a signature shoe. I forgot about Candace.
Speaking of which, now it's coming back to me. Breonna Stewart, championship, Seattle team.
Right.
I mean, Stewie Cole, she deserves a shoe.
Simone Augustus with a link, like put minutes on the links. I mean, Maya Moore when she was playing, like, like where is even though she's Team Jordan, she's probably one of the few of the ladies besides her and Candace Parker that have their own signature shoes. That's 2 out of how many women though? The WNBA girls, stop calling them girls. The WNBA women are wearing a guy's shoe. Where can they get that signature shoe? Because women play, the young women, the young athletes in high school, college, in middle school and whatever primary school, Marcus, they play sports just like the men do.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you one thing before we go to the subject. I'm in New York. This is year RJ Berry got drafted. I took a picture when I met him. So me and my wife, we upstairs, we walking around. About all things in these sports. So we go upstairs. So I'm like, where the WNBA section? She says upstairs in the corner. So you go up the escalator, Marcus, kid you not, it's smack dead on the right side of the floor in the corner. So as you go up the escalator, guess where it's next to? The stock room. A little, excuse my language, a little ass corner with none. They got the jerseys there. It's not enough jerseys. They don't have enough paraphernalia like the NBA. If this supposed to be we know it's the NBA store. It's like somebody say, you know what? This is WNBA stuff. That's all we got. It's like going into your mom's closet. That's their stuff. Disrespectful. I was like, man, that's crazy. This WNBA. Their stuff is tucked away. If it's gonna be that small, if you're gonna have it as a big deal that small, the women's, you should have the women's stuff downstairs and that on the right side of the store. They now marketing the WNBA. I'm not speaking up for the women they not marketing for.
Mm-hmm.
I
mean,
can be the
you got to
market
throw
for
money
that.
into it. Like you got
Right.
to throw money into it.
So when you get there, Marcus, you go to the WNBA store, Toronto. So who the NBA champion is, their stuff is on main display. So you got the champion there. That's what after the Raptors won the championship. Their stuff is there. You got the other team that's running up. Their stuff on the other side. You go upstairs, there's more stuff. You go to the other floor, you're like, damn, this WNBA, that's it? That's it? So the last team from WNBA, they had their jerseys up there, some keychains, some Lego winning blocks, some WNBA socks in a purse.
That's it. That's terrible. I mean, it should be more jerseys, if anything. Now you should have a jersey from each team at the least. I doubt they had that based on what you're saying, because that section would not be big enough to have a jersey.
Marcus, we said this is New York. This is New York City. The largest. We got some of the most people in the world is there, and the market was terrible. So WNBA, y'all got support for me. I watched the games. I was mad because I went up there. I was gonna buy a jersey for myself and put it in my man cave. But this is it. This all the jerseys you have? Oh yeah, this is it. Y'all had like 6 women up there. Y'all have a league of 12. Candace Parker was up there.
For sure.
I was there. Her jersey
that'd be
was
a
up there.
disservice not to have Candace
Diana
Parker,
Taurasi.
Donna Taurasi, Simona Gut. If they didn't have any of those jerseys, it's a disservice. Like the true faces of the league.
I don't want to say no names, but I asked a young man, I was like, this all the NBA, WNBA. He said, yeah, man, that's what they got. The marketing is just terrible. I said, I know. Look where y'all got it at. Y'all got it back in the corner by y'all stock room. So when it's time to get rid of that stuff, you just take it off the hangers and throw it in the box, say, box it, let's go. All right, Mark. Since we talk about the WNBA, we touched on the NBA and some baseball stuff. Let's talk about Cleveland's own Jake Paul knocking out a UFC fighter. First, it was Nate Robinson. Now it's the UFC fighter.
He moving up the ranks.
Man, what?
Moving up the ranks.
When you're looking at I'm not even call Jake Paul an athlete. We got a YouTuber going out there training with Floyd Mayweather and knocking out professional athletes, not no scrubs, some creme de la creme guys.
I thought he was supposed to fight Floyd.
I think he said that he didn't fight Floyd. Floyd ain't gonna waste his time.
Okay.
He's knocking out creme de la creme guy.
Creme de la creme.
Knocked out Nate Robinson. Knocked out the UFC guy, the UFC guy's a grappler. I don't know if you hip to him. He's a grappler. Like Jake Paul, man, he out here trying to get that. He out here trying to get that bag, Marcus. Knocking guys out though.
I think he earned his professional title. I think he's a professional boxer now.
Wow.
I'm looking it up.
Like the way he did to Ben, like, man, it was unbelievable. Like, y'all letting Jake Paul, a guy who runs around on YouTube that does crazy antics, he's getting out the ring and knocking people out in the first round, Marcus.
And so I'm doing research right now on the spot. So he went to Westlake. He did participate in sports in Westlake City. So he has some athletic ability. Right before I tee you off, so he has a personality. So that's like, we just talk about the WNBA marketing.
Mm-hmm.
His personality is selling himself, and now he's backing it up in the ring.
Let me tell you what's so funny though, Marcus. When you pull up Jake Paul on Google, they got him associated with, of course, his brother,
Logan Paul, another
yep.
YouTuber.
The guy he got on last night, Ben Askren, and Nate Robinson. Like Nate and Ben will ever go down like. Can you imagine Jake Paul telling his kids, "Hey, Dad, what you should do for a living?" Well, I'm a YouTuber sensation, and you see that guy right there we watching NBA TV, Nate Robinson dunk contest. Yeah, I knocked him out.
Knock people out for fun.
He's like, no, you didn't, Dad. Pull it up. Pull it up. Sure enough, it's so crazy that he knocked these guys out.
People also searched. You don't want to be associated with that.
Right.
You search Jake Paul. Well, other people are searching Nate Robinson, and then you look it up, because he got knocked out by him.
And it's so funny though. I'm looking at Jake Paul. His net worth is worth $11.5 million.
So he don't need the box. He don't need to.
And the crazy thing is, he did play on some Disney stuff, Disney Channel on Bizarre Art as Dirk Man for 2 seasons. He got a total of 2 fights. He's a cruiserweight. Then I look over on Instagram or Twitter, he puts Nate Diaz gets knocked out in 3. So he's already calling shots that he want to fight Nate Diaz. I don't know if he's gonna be Nate Diaz because Nate Diaz is a warrior boy. He go in when he be boxing. But say if he did beat a Nate Diaz.
I mean, you really gonna have to start taking him serious. Right now, we joking about him. Yeah, but if he beat Nate Diaz.
No, we joking about him. Now listen to this, Marcus. The guys that was training, right? They always talking smack about him. Nate Robinson, I'm gonna knock his ass out. Ben, I'm gonna knock him out. Jake Paul said nothing.
And another thing is, he gonna have to start. He gonna have to pick a lane, because Nate Diaz, Brenner, who he just fought, the MMA guys. He fought Nate Robinson in the square in the ring. That's boxing. So he's gonna have to pick a lane, because we saw Conor McGregor. You can't do both. Those are different techniques you got to learn. You can't be boxing, straight through an MMA fight. Exactly. And then get kicked in the head. That's not gonna work.
Right. Because I'm looking at this, like you said, you got to pick a lane. And with Jake Paul, I'm gonna say this. I think when he's training, I think he's taking it very serious.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you can see that. His
he's
body
taking it real serious.
Yeah.
Because his body done toned up a little bit more. You can start hitting the weights and all that. I think some of the athletes they going up against, they looking at him like, it's a YouTube guy. It's a Disney guy. Right. But at the end of the day, Marcus, if you can fight, you can fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing. He put the gloves on just like they did. Now, Nate Robinson, you got to stick to that ball in court, big dog.
Football, basketball. That's his name.
And track. He ran track too. Mm-hmm. Now, Ben, stay in the UFC ring, man. Jake is for real, y'all. I'm gonna say he's for real. Once he get that
I need one more fight. I need one more fight.
One more fight?
Before I say he for real.
One more fight, Marcus?
One more fight.
Now, we've been on for a while, getting everybody caught up to speed with things. We got the NBA Hall of Fame coming up. Michael Jordan will be the guest speaker for Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant. Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace to him. Everything, all our condolences still go out to Vanessa. Still can't believe it right to this day. When I used to turn the TV on, they show Kobe highlights, and the first thing come to my head, like, man, Kobe's really gone.
Like he not even alive. Like you would never thought you'd be saying that.
Right. When you looking like the speech, I want to know what MJ gonna write about Kobe.
I think like MJ's own introduction to the Hall of Fame is going to be notable because with his own one, he was very genuine. He held no punches.
Yeah,
And I think he's going to be the same with Kobe. I think we're going to get some nuggets in this speech, but it's going to be in a more like this is my little brother, like, and y'all really didn't know how close we was type of speech.
Exactly. And he's going in with some big names. Tamika Catchings, WNBA player, WNBA champion of the Indiana Fever. She's my favorite WNBA player. Tim Duncan, the most underappreciated superstar, is going to Hall of Fame. 5 rings, one of them in the same year. Huh?
Was that the same year? No, or Tim Duncan came out before Kobe.
Tim Duncan came out in Kobe came out in 97. Duncan came out in 98, 99 season.
Okay.
Because remember Tim Duncan, remember his first year in the league, they had the lockout, remember? He won the first NBA championship. They beat the Knicks in 4 games to 1. The famous LJ game, it's that corner 3 in the Garden.
Mm-hmm.
He threw up the LJ, but the next game they sent him home with an L. Tim Duncan is one of the most underappreciated superstars in the league. He don't get that talk about because he don't have that flair, but he got the job done. Another person going in with Kevin Garnett, my favorite player, the old Houston Rockets coach, Rudy T. It's some players in there that's going in. I just feel like this tribute right here, because we all knew Kobe's going into the Hall of Fame, and we would love to hear what he had to say if he was still here. I just want to end that on that note. Anything you want to add, Marcus, before we leave the show?
I'm gonna say this. I'm in the works. We're gonna have a website coming soon. We're gonna be we got the t-shirts. We got the cups. We got the cups. We about to be all the way official pretty soon. So y'all stay tuned to that. Me and Tae, obviously I'm gonna tell Tae first, and then we'll announce it on the pod. And y'all go continue to support us.
Appreciate it. This is After Hours Live from the Man Cave. I'm your host, Tae Wiggs.
This is your co-host, Marc Sr.
We out of here. Peace.